Okay, welcome back. I'm doing a little freehand videoing on this now because we've got a few things over here that I want to show you. So where we're at is 1500 turn. Coming up on the 1500 turn. We just entered the 2 o'clock turn, coming up on the 3 o'clock turn. And we've got our first eliminated units. You can actually see down here one of Wharton's units. If I bring it closer. That sharpshooter unit was eliminated on a very lucky shot by the Union. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. As well as we have a Union casualty up here, and it's going to be half of the 18th Connecticut. They were eliminated and as part of the combat and the turning movement that Patton's units were accomplishing over here on the side. So you could see up here, that's the order top to bottom of the chit pulls. So we had Breckenridge style Sullivan, Breckenridge style Sullivan, and then style Sullivan and Breckenridge. Made for an interesting turn, pretty balanced in terms of the chit pulls over there. So let's take a look at the map. Show you where we are with this. So here's the crux of the battle. We're right into it at this point. We have down here, Wharton has moved up slowly, but Moore has actually pulled back the right of his line, back over here, back behind the slope. And that's kind of covered them a little bit. Meanwhile, on the point up here, we've got half of the 120th Ohio that has been holding off, as well as some disordered guns that have failed miserably to recover. Hopefully get a recover, but I think next turn they may need to move off. Then we have our 34th Massachusetts holding out. Well, they've disordered a couple times. They've taken some casualties and so forth, but they're still holding good lines. But the left of the Union line, you can see over here, this is where the 18th other half of the 18th is located right there. And then the Ohio, this is actually starting to break a lot more from the pressure that Patton's units are putting on here. But Patton's units have been taking some damage here, as well as have had a lot of low ammo rolls. You can see here, both this unit, the 23rd Virginia Battalion, has low ammo, as well as this unit over here, the 26th Virginia Battalion, has low ammo. They've also taken some hits over here as well. So they're down to 3. So that's why they've kind of moved back to try to recover here and hold the flank. Union Cavalry, Winkoop's group up here. There we go. Has kind of regrouped. The artillery is back up here, and that has recovered, as well as, let's get that tweezer out of the way, as well as some of Tibbet's men have moved up to strengthen yet another defensive line, along with some of the artillery has come up over here. This is the 30th New York, has positioned kind of lower on the hill to try to hold off here. But we've got to get some infantry up there as well, because you can see Patton's units are right there to try to break across there if they can. You can see coming up the road, we've got Thorburns units back here coming up to provide reserves. They're probably going to sit in here on the Bush Hogs farm lane here, and provide yet another defensive line and free up the cavalry to move back towards Bush Hogs Hill here a little bit. Most likely, Moore back here is going to have to fall back a little bit more. Trying to do some damage to the Confederates, try to weaken them up, and then try to hit them at the end. But we've got a couple things that are in the Confederates' favor right now. We've lost 2 artillery pieces, one here and one here. Or I should say strength points, not pieces. Strength points off of there. So that's given them 2 points already in the battle, and giving them a slight advantage so far. But the Confederates have been taking casualties, as I said over here. Confederate artillery, you can see, is back here. They have been providing some decent support. They're getting some disorders on the Union so that both Wharton and Patton can move up. Although they have taken this unit down here. I should move that back. There we go. This guy, Monroe A, has taken some, has some low ammo, so he's going to have to recover that over there. Monroe B, the howitzers have moved up to try to support. Being back here, the battle has gone beyond them, so they're trying to move up to give some direct support to the Confederate infantry. The VMI boys, they're moving up, still keeping them out of the battle because each strength point lost is going to be a victory point for the Union. VMI batteries back here as well, providing some support. So there we have it. That's the battle so far. Like I said, into turn, 2 p.m. turn. Still anybody's game. Confederates are pressing. Union is somewhat falling back in fairly good order, but we'll have to see how it goes. We still have 5 more turns in the game, so still a lot of time left in terms of this to go any way. So anyways, that's it for 2 p.m. Okay, we're back with the 3 p.m. turn, and just showing you where we're at the end of this. More pushing up by Wharton and Patton's units, but they've been encountering a bit more fatigue has been setting in. You can see here for Wharton's up to a 0, and more importantly, Patton up here is up to a 1 as they try to keep pushing forward and pushing them back. They've had some good success. A couple things happened over here. You can see what's left of the Union right flank in this line by the Rice House is folding very quickly to the 51st and other Wharton units here. And if I zoom in, you can see it a little bit better in terms of what's going on. There we go. You can see Wharton's units pushing up here very, very hard, pushing back to the 34th, part of the 34th Mass right there. More importantly, back here under Sigel now, Moore's units, which was up right next to him in here, got pushed back very hard. They took the Ohio division here, or Ohio regiment here, 123rd Ohio, took some pretty good damage. They're down to 6 strength points. They were up around 9 or 10, but they took some hits from these guys coming in the flank. Also, Moore was knocked out. Washburn is taking over. Fortunately, up off the frame right now. I'll show you here in a second. Sullivan's on, so we'll take command of the division. But Washburn has had to take over the command of the brigade over here and kind of help reorganize what's left of it as it's been pushed back, because you can see we have 123rd here and the 18th Connecticut over here that have been pushed back, but also too we have coming up the road. If I go back here a second, there we go. Yeah, we have the 18th over here holding off Patton's units coming up here, and then up the road here we do have the rest of Moore's brigade now under Washburn that can hopefully hold the line over here as well. Thorburn is up. They originally posted a line here on the Bush Hog road up to the farm, but with Patton pushing forward, they moved up. And the reason why Patton pushed forward, and this was a big decision, that pushed him up to a 1. Also, let me zoom in here so you can see Patton a little bit more. Also, too, the artillery up here, these howitzers, were able to get into a firefight with the 30th New York over here, and they got the best of them. They were actually disordered. So Patton, seeing an opportunity, moved up to take them. But the 18th Connecticut disordered this unit. They subsequently recovered, but they couldn't get in here. They didn't have enough momentum to get up in an attack. They were able to move up to here, but they couldn't actually get in to take the guns before they recovered. So fortunately, the guns recovered. They're in a position, they're still in a vulnerable position, I should say. They could be attacked over here, but Thorburns pushed up here to potentially retake them if possible. He was positioning back here for a counterattack when they got close enough, but he's now up to a position to support the defense up here, and probably will turn his orders into assault, so that he, or attack, excuse me, to allow him to move up against them over there. That will allow him to kind of hopefully check Patton's advance and maybe get some points, because Union is still without any points yet. The Confederates are at 3 victory points for the guns that they've taken so far, or knocked out so far. So that's been the big news over here on the front lines themselves. In terms of the rest of the battle, the cavalry, this is a hard one for the cavalry. And I can see there's been some comments in my readings about the battle where Stahl really didn't have a good position for their cavalry. Originally, or historically I should say, they were positioned over in this area over here. And then once they started taking fire from Imboden's guns over here, they took off. They just went up the road. Almost feeling the same way in my playthrough, because they've been positioned here to kind of check and block and keep Patton from just running forward as much as he can. And now they've kind of pulled back. You can see Tibbetts' units have pulled back to the crest of Bushong's Hill, and there's a few left up here that'll probably pull back this turn as well as over here, as the infantry reinforcements start filling in the line over here. Over here we still have the 34th Massachusetts hanging on to this right side, but as I said before, they were probably going to have to retreat now because Wharton is really pressing the attack over here. They've picked some good terrain over here not to be able to be fired upon by Imboden's guns. He only really has this arc to shoot at over here. So we just stay out of there and kind of move that way. I'm presuming probably they will move back, and we'll probably have to set up a line around the bush hog farm into the woods for their last few turns as their final defensive line for the battle. So a few things going on. The Union is now, I think, a little bit more evenly matched. I think Wharton and Patton are getting tired. They've still got some good units, and they've still got some strong cohesion, so I think they can still make inroads in there and still get some points. It's going to be a little bit tougher for them to drive a wedge in them already as the fatigue starts to head in there. Still, the VMI boys back here, probably won't put them in. I just don't want to lose the point for them. And if Breckenridge can get more by either hitting the cavalry and knocking them out, or the artillery, that would be great. I'm not sure if they'll be able to get a brigade that's going to be wrecked, but we'll see, because there's some low numbers over here. We have already knocked out half of a regiment, the 18th Connecticut, over there as well. So there could be that possibility that we do get it, but it seems rather unlikely. Last thing I'll note, for those of you interested, there's the order of the activations. We had Breckenridge, then a bunch of Unions, Sullivan, Stahl, and Sullivan, Stahl again, and then finally we rounded out with the rest of Breckenridge and the last couple of Stahl units. Trying to conserve fatigue as much as possible, because we do have 4 more turns to go. We're up to 4 p.m. turn, and there will be 4 more to go after this to try to see who can actually win the Battle of Newmarket. So stay tuned for the 4 p.m. turn. Okay, down to the 5 p.m. turn. We just ended the 4 p.m. turn, and you can see quite a bit has gone on here. The units are starting to get a little wary, and casualties are starting to accumulate quite a bit, as we can see here. We can see the number of collapsed units, including the Confederates, now have collapsed units on the board. and low ammo as well. So starting to get some attrition coming into the battle, and it's not good for the Confederates. We've had quite a bit of loss for the Confederate side. They have now 2 units lost. The 22nd Virginia B is completely destroyed. And then we also have the 62nd Virginia B, which is collapsed and routed over here as well. Union has been kind of absorbing it without any significant losses. There was the collapse of the 123rd Ohio Regiment, and they left the field. But I think that was in the last turn. I don't think it was in this turn. So where we're at with this is kind of, I think, kind of a high watermark for the Confederates in terms of their attack. You can see they're up here. They did manage to take these guns right here, the 30th New York, which ironically is historically accurate because that's the guns that the VMI units overran, but more up on Bushong's Hill. Up there. This was overrun by Patton's units. I forget which one. I think it was the 62nd. Actually, the 22nd, Virginia did it, but they were collapsed when they got in there, and they were easily knocked out by Thoburn's troops back here. You can see the reinforcements have come up. You can see some more of Moore's units. Washburn now has come on the map and lining up defensively now, but they will definitely go on the offensive given the way that Patton's units are looking. This unit's in good shape. He's collapsed. He's kind of okay, but he's right on the border of being collapsed. We've got 23rd Battalion here. They had to regroup. They're probably the best unit up in the attack right now, but they have low ammo. But they've got to defend a wide area here from the top of the Manor Hill Ridge down to the Valley Pike. Wharton has suffered some pretty significant casualties over here. And he was actually wounded as well. Actually, Clark is now the commander of Wharton's group. The 51st Virginia got knocked down. They're now down half strength, so they're on the verge of collapse. We have the VMI still here, not committed. But then we have just 2 units up here of the 67th or 62nd Virginia and the 30th Virginia Battalion holding off up here, and that's it for Wharton's units. He's lost the sharpshooters and also the 62nd Brigade there as well. So it might be the high watermark for them. It might be the Union's turn to attack to try to gain points, because as we're looking at it right now, and let me show you here. Here is what the Confederates look like. They've actually got 3 victory points. Now, if they can hold out with the guns and they lose those guns of the 30th, that's actually going to give them 6 more points. 4 more points. So they could get up to 8, but that's sketchy at best. Union still hasn't have any points on the board yet, so they're probably going to need to get into the attack for these last 3 turns, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 7 o'clock on here as well. So that's where we're at. Oh yes, you can see the activations. Kind of interesting activations, skewed towards Breckenridge going first, and then the rest of the Union coming up afterwards, and hence why we see what we see on the board here, and the Union kind of coming back and strengthening their lines. Sigel has been good. Of course, we're playing him, so we can better manage the troops than he did on the battlefield as well. And Breckenridge is, like I said, having some problems here. Although I want to say one bright spot here with Breckenridge is this artillery, these howitzers up on the hill have been doing some significant damage to units trying to hold out and trying to get to these guns, up here. So there is some chance for them, but it's going to be tough with 3 turns left, but we'll see how it goes. So onward to 5 o'clock. Okay, back with turn 5 p.m. turn completed, and I think we're down to it right to the point of the end, because as you can see here, Breckenridge's units are starting to fall back. Patton has really been hurt. He's actually collapsed. Oh, I don't have a collapsed marker on him. Or I should say there's several units collapsed, several units lost. So he is actually brigade ineffective on there and has to fall back. It's getting pressure from Thorburn and Washburn to push back. Same thing with Clark. This is actually Wharton. Wharton was wounded. Patton was also wounded as well, and then replaced back up there. But his units are pushed back. Wharton's units, or Clark now, is still effective, so they didn't get any points there, but they've taken some damage. They've lost 2 units, the sharpshooters and half of the 62nd Virginia on there. I'll show you that in the casualties in a moment. And then Sigel has recovered. Reinforcements have really strengthened the line here, particularly Thorburn's units coming in and kind of pushing back and really hitting them hard. The 34th Massachusetts, they got hit pretty hard. They're still, half of them are still here. The other half are routed off. And 1st Virginia is still over here too. They took some pretty bad damage over here. I did notice I made one mistake up here. The 18th Connecticut, they should have been collapsed when they lost their other half, the other brigade there. I think the 34th, yeah, actually 34th should be collapsed too as well. That's one thing that gets me all the time is with these demi regiments. When one unit is lost, the other one will likely collapse if they've suffered any type of casualties there as well. But see, they're still pretty much effective for both with the reinforcements coming in. That's actually helped them. We still have Stahl with Tibbets and Wynkoop still active behind. Haven't really figured out how to use the cavalry here. Just read this uneven ground and really kind of channeling effect here. There was really no good way to get a cavalry charge going with all this infantry in front of them. And Bowden over here, if I zoom out a little bit, right there on the right hand side, he's lobbing shells over here, but really can't really do much damage. He's really just a nuisance to the Union at this point. He did shell the cavalry over here when they were over there, but they just shifted up to Bushong's Hill and held out back there as well. So they're falling back. I don't think they can do any more. The Union has actually captured a victory. They've got 5 points. Actually, I should show you that here. Let me take your mobile here. So bear with me a second, and you will see if we come over to. Excuse the glare. Actually, let's turn that one off so you can see a little bit better. As you can see, here's the Confederates. Here's the losses for the Confederates. The 1 unit routed, that's a 62nd. And then 3 units, the sharpshooters, and then the 22nd Virginia, completely destroyed. 10, 11 strength points right there lost. They did tally up 4 points for artillery and cavalry losses. So they did get 4 and were holding out. And actually they did have one chance. I think you remember from the last video, they overran the 30th New York artillery back here, right over in here, and did hold them for a while, but Thorburn really pushed them back and pushed them out. They really couldn't hold that long. And they recaptured and didn't eliminate that artillery. So the Union, or the Confederates, couldn't claim victory for that. Now for the Union, if you look over here, they got the 5 points for the brigade ineffective for Patton's units. You do see the losses over here for the 18th Connecticut was wiped out, and then we've got the routes for the 34th Massachusetts, and the 12th, or the, excuse me, the 123rd Ohio over there as well. So as I could say, you can see there's just 2 turns left. We're at the 1800 turn. I really don't see playing it out anymore. Looks like a Union victory. They do hold the 2 hexes, Bush Hogs Hill, and the entry hex over there. So that will achieve them a 1 shift to the victory conditions. And if you look at it now, it's 5-4. So they've got a 1-point advantage, which is actually a draw. But shifting that forward makes it a marginal victory for the Union. And that feels about right, because my feeling is with the Union units trying to advance or trying to attack, and the Confederates, falling back, and the artillery back there, I don't think we're going to get much more damage on either side to swing that either way. So here we are, 1800, end of the game, Union marginal victory for the Battle of Newmarket. Now, one thing I wanted to talk just briefly about here, why this turned quite differently, is I think, one thing is that as a player and as a person playing the game over here, we have one huge advantage over the difference of the historical battle, and that is competent command. And what I mean by that is Sigel's command was very ineffective. I mean, it's almost textbook what not to do in terms of the battle. If you read anything about him, either through the various books out there, Davis's book is the big one, but other books out there as well, you will find that the decisions and command structure that Sigel put together, or ad hoc put together, was very bizarre at best. I mean, the whole effort of pushing down the valley with Moore and a mixed brigade, or a mixed set of regiments from different brigades, is just very strange. You would never do that in the face of an enemy. And here comes Sigel doing that, and then even after that, kind of randomly, well, I don't want to say randomly, but very ineffectively shuffling in reinforcements. And even when the reinforcements came here, they kind of drifted back to their own brigades. So, for instance, the 34th Massachusetts and the 8th and the 1st West Virginia, right here, in the historic battle, they actually, once Thorburn came on, they drifted back to Thorburn and left Moore's command, which only consisted of the 18th Connecticut and the 123rd Ohio. And they were left on their own to face, the full force of the Confederate attack. And, that is just, very ineffective for command and very ineffective for, managing a battle quite well. From the leadership perspective, the Union did quite well with leadership. The regimental commanders as well as the brigade commanders did well to manage it. Moore and Thorburn both worked well as brigade commanders. But once we get above that, once we're talking about Sullivan and definitely Sigel, we have a breakdown here, because Sullivan really was looking to Sigel for managing the battle, but didn't have it, and he kind of was caught between. He was trying to manage the lower units, but really didn't do that because he wasn't getting good commands from Sigel himself. So he was very ineffective. Same thing with Stahl. His cavalry was very ineffective. They actually, retreated at one point off the field, or back up here, away from the battle, once Imboden's artillery over here started shelling them. So, point being here is that the command structure really was quite ineffective. And if you, as a player, put together even a competent command structure, which I feel this was, they probably can achieve, at least a marginal victory like I have here, because all you need to do is just form up your units and keep them together, and take the initial attack from Breckenridge, and just kind of whittle them down, and you know, you should get a result like this. So interesting command study. In terms of this, you know, good leadership at the lower levels, poor command structure at the top, and you know, the whole battle management of Sigel was bad. So you can see how he was sacked later on, just for this this particular incident over here. But this is my playthrough, 160th anniversary. Death Valley, Battle of the Shenandoah, so the New Market scenario. It's a good little one. I would definitely play this again. This is my third play on here. I think I've gotten two Union victories, three and one Confederate victory out of it there as well. Definitely highly recommend this, and give it a play if you have it out there. So stay tuned for the next one. Next one's going to be looking at the Death Valley, and actually the supplement. Piedmont is the next one coming up in June, beginning of June. So look for that coming around here at the beginning of June. So once again, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, and please like it. Comments are welcome, and let me know what your thoughts are on the command structure of Sigel, and from what you've seen and read, because it is very interesting to learn about this going forward. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.